Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. And today, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon by talking about something Disney related. Whether it's their TV shows, movies, or whatever, I guess. So for this time around, I'm going to be talking about, again, a film I've already reviewed and talked about so many times, more than any healthy person should anyway. So that'll be Frozen 2, of course. I guess to give you more of an idea of what I'm talking about, it's more like it's nothing that's been confirmed, really, but it's more like a theory that's been floating around exactly that. And I guess to be more specific, it involves Elsa. Yeah, I know, real shocker, I know. But to be more precise, it involves the parents of these characters. But to be more precise, their mother, the queen, or I should say former queen, because we all know what happened there. But yeah, a lot of people felt that Elsa got her powers from their mother. Frozen 2, at least in the beginning anyway, explored their relationship, the kids and the parents a bit more compared to the first one. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be talking about. Did Elsa really get her powers from her mother? So a lot of the fans strongly suggest that it points to her specifically. So I just figured I'll just talk about that for a hot minute here. Just to be perfectly clear here, folks, I'm not saying I agree to this theory. I'm not saying that it should be included in the official canon or anything. It's just something that I thought, to some extent, kind of interesting, and I thought I could explore it in this video. So there you go. I mean, granted, in the first film, the parents wasn't really spoken about all that much, really. I mean, they were in the film for about a good, 20 minutes? No more than 30 minutes. And altogether, briefly, I guess you can say. The second movie expands upon the parents' backstory a lot more, and I do mean a lot more. Which, if you ask me, is actually a nice touch, and it does help to expand the themes, the ideas that were already present in the first film, which any good sequel should do. Expand upon what was already done previously, but not just make it be filler, make it actually have a genuine point to it at all. And then top of that, make the entire adventure seem much, much more grander as well. And so yeah, which is of course kind of hard because the first film is pretty on a big grand scale in its own right. So of course it was pretty tricky in a lot of ways. But okay, yada yada, blah 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 blah. The king and queen, when they were actually alive, of course. So yeah, the second movie expands upon that. So the second film already does attempt to explain why does Elsa have these icy abilities, whereas Anna, she doesn't have it. But yeah, there was like this deleted sequence, including the queen, okay, former queen, the mother, reveals a lot more about her and Elsa's power than meets the eye. So yes, there was actually a tested scene that was never completed, but there was actually a tested scene for this movie. Which unfortunately didn't make it all the way through, but hey, expand upon or whatever you call it. The spirit and play fun. Those are hand drawn bit where you just see the spirit just being really playful with this thing and whatnot. But that right there doesn't exactly answer anything really. But the only thing claimed closest to this is this one bit of scene where a part of this was actually in the movie, but the other part of it wasn't. Only this was only partially in the film, really, where the mother pushed them to bed or whatever, and they're talking about the enchanted forest, the magical belt. This bit right here, where you see her talking to Elsa specifically, and you don't see Anna obviously. See, and of course he talks her in. They talk about the whole enchanted forest a bit more, I guess. I came up with it extended on what was already shown in the film, and it was edited down or whatever because of pacing or something. But yeah, somehow a lot of people felt that this probably suggested that maybe the mother actually was responsible in some way. Maybe there's more than what they were led to believe, of course. So, but yeah, this, of course, they both sisters had some sort of upbringing, of course. I didn't think that maybe the mother was not bothered by this like at all. And in other circumstances, yes, it might come off like uh, some people might be bothered with this, but it came off like the mother just automatically accepted this right off the bat, like it was no big deal. Does this suggest that she knew something ahead of time before her powers were fully developed? Does this mean that maybe she knew all along, even before she was even born? Or maybe she was, being formed in her belly or whatever? And so, yeah, this does could lead to some questions, of course. So, this kind of thing, a lot of people felt that maybe it led to something. Man, the fact that the spirit was so playful and whatnot, like we saw way earlier, and the fact that they were playful much later as well. Say they, of course, I'm referring to the spirit itself. So I'm not quite sure if the spirit was supposed to be a boy or girl or whatever. I'm assuming I'm just gonna go with a guess a girl, but not that it really matters to me because that's not gonna really amount to anything really. The fact that spirit would have some sort of gender or no gender, again, it doesn't really matter because that right there doesn't really amount to much. One part of the film where Elsa has to fight the spirit thing. I mean, eventually she was spit out, sure, I became friendly with her, but point being is that she had to fight this thing for a moment, and then there's that whole thing with the water, having memory and whatever, and that exactly happens right there. I have some flashback, that kind of thing going on to a specific point in time. I mean, sure, no one was actually hurt in that sequence. The Kristoff, Olaf, Anna was sped out first, but Elsa was kept inside. You could always argue, okay, this had something to do with her ice powers, but because it's ice. But what does this mean exactly? Does this mean that her mother knew something like this would occur? She knew that water had memory or whatever. I mean, Olaf knew, of course. Does this mean that maybe the mother didn't quite understand it really? Maybe there's more than everybody needs to realize. And I mean, of course, the father character had something to do with this enchanted forest at sometimes because he brought it himself. And yeah, maybe the mother knew something about this somehow. I guess you can say. And of course, again, like I said, folks, I'm not agreeing to this theory, but it is a good take. I could mention, of course. So yeah, I just thought I would be discussing this because of this, of course. And yeah, the whole magical upbringing, and maybe the mother didn't really understand it completely. Maybe she knew kind of something about the ice powers, really. Doing, I guess I'm saying this because of the dialogue that was chosen, that was specifically said during the deleted scene I've just, well, partial deleted scene I showed earlier. So I just thought maybe this could have answered a bit more, I guess, if it was kept in the film. Or maybe it would have led to more questions than answers, I don't know. I don't think that they were planning to make a third movie by any means. And they definitely were not planning to make a second movie, but I guess they thought they found a sequel hook. A sequel hook is something that was intentionally left behind so that it can be answered later. But for this case, they were not planning to make any more than the first movie. But I guess the fact that Elsa has powers but the sisters don't was a bit of a plot hole. But they used that plot hole as a way to set up the sequel. And they used this as a segue to basically explore the backstory of the kingdom and whatnot, and and their family tree, so to speak. So it makes more sense now, sure, but it still leave you, more to wonder. It does make your mind wonder about certain things, sure, but yeah, maybe her powers, Elsa's powers, I mean, are just misunderstood. That was definitely clear in the in the first movie. Maybe they were definitely misunderstood by by their parents. I mean, and so does this mean that their mother had some sort of magical connection of her own, maybe? And then yeah, there was the whole tribe that's in the film, of course. They knew something about the powers of the forest being given as a gift, and they were surprised that Elsa had this said gift. Because in the context of the sequel, the people, the warriors, who were the Arendelle warriors, soldiers, I mean, were like like their enemy. So, which is why they were surprised at the fact that Elsa had the powers because they were from Arendelle or whatever. But yeah, so this does leave quite a few questions if this actually is true. The troll characters that were in the first film also was in the second movie briefly. The little troll characters, they clearly knew something. They had some sort of knowledge of these kinds of powers. When in the first film, Anna was struck in the head by, Elsa's power when they were little kids. It was, of course, by mistake, obviously, when it became a little too rough for the house plane. The mother and the father, specifically, they went directly to the trolls. Does this mean that both parents knew something about this? Maybe they both had some sort of connection, perhaps? Maybe? But yeah, it's just something you could actually use if they want to make a part 3 to this movie. Maybe you can use this, what I'm saying here, as a way to build a story around it. I don't know. The deleted scene from Frozen 2 was that the mother actually knew something about the powers. But of course, the whole troll thing I just mentioned a moment ago, that'll fix up a memory or whatever. And this scene displays more of the fact that maybe debating over maybe they should tell on the truth, that they shouldn't be lying to her. And of course, this makes Anna seem shocked because, yeah, they lied to her, technically, I guess you can say. They was lying. It was being deceitful, so if anything, this deleted scene was trying to show Anna trying to find more answers. Yeah, it's pretty sad in a lot of ways because you realize your own parents have been lying to you when you were little. So, yeah. This, of course, is reference to the whole thing with the powers. Does this mean that there's a connection between, Elsa and the mother when it comes to powers itself, the powers themselves? Okay, that I'm not quite sure really, but it is something you could think about. I guess theorize yourself and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, obviously in the sequel, Elsa does learn more about her powers, of course, and more so than compared to the first one, of course. And of course, the whole thing with water having memory and whatnot is explored in here, of course. And so yeah, this whole enchanted forest is supposed to be this mythical place where they would, of course, explore quite a bit. There, she learns that this powerful spirits and whatnot that links humans with the magical realm and whatnot, which the parents, both of them, actually knew. And of course, the father spent quite a bit of time there, obviously. And yes, it turns out that Elsa herself can actually, manipulate water to reveal some memories from long ago to have a better understanding of their parents and whatnot. So this is something that, of course, been debated among fans. So does this mean they actually know? Of course. Of course, Anna, like I was saying a moment ago, is that she learns about this kind of thing. She watches as her parents prepare for the journey. That scene was supposed to take place like prior their journey to the. When they got on the boat in the first movie, of course. So yeah, that scene that deleted scene I just showed you was them preparing to get on the boat. This suggests that they knew about this enchanted forest all along, ever since the first movie. But yeah, and then the second movie just expands upon that a bit more, where the mother wanted to discuss to the to her husband that maybe could be a good time to tell about the actual truth when it comes to Elsa, and I guess she must have felt guilty for lying to her, I guess you can say. Yeah, she shouldn't be just keeping it shut down anymore. And but the father was, saying that maybe it's not Anna that he's worried about. What if, they let them get close again, and their feelings become too much for Elsa? And joy brings her powers out as strongly as fear. So this kind of stuff is what the cat would be worrying about, of course. And then the mother character suggests that if there's anybody that can find a way to help Elsa, it'd be her sister, Anna. So of course they would go back and forth on this kind of a thing and whatnot. So yeah, this does leave like in the conversation you could have with other fans, of course. So yeah, there's that, obviously. But to which the father does agree, she might be right about that. But in that moment, when they were much younger, there's not much they can do, of course, at that age, of course. But yeah, so it just seems like, a lot of these deleted scenes could have, provided more information, is what I'm saying here, folks, to get stuff more answers, I guess. But I guess a lot of these scenes were removed because of pacing or whatever, which is usually the case when it comes to movies. You cut some stuff out, even though it's a great scene. They want to, maybe cut down for pacing, I guess. Uh, Even though the whole point of having Ona in Frozen 2 is to have her be all about self realization, breaking her codependence with Elsa. Maybe she was too dependent on Elsa in the first place in the beginning of the movie, but then she had to break away from that, of course. So yeah, of course, I guess it would have made sense to have this deleted scene in the movie, but I guess they didn't want it to have it in there due to pacing, I guess. I mean, the film is almost 2 hours in length anyway when you think about it, but there you go. But not that I would mind if it was over that really, but hey, what can you do, I guess. But it's something that I want to discuss because it's Frozen related. Yes, I know this is another princess movie I'm speaking about. I've been speaking about a lot of princess movies as of late, which yes, I realize I am. Not that I mind, of course. And yes, I realized that I didn't really answer anything. Really, I didn't answer if this actually is confirmed or not. To my knowledge, it's not. But if the mother, I mean, I should say their mother, had powers too, well, and to what extent? There was no limit to it. Is that strong enough? So I doubt it. If she had if there's some sort of connection, I mean, spiritually speaking, magical, I don't know. In a magical way, I don't know. But it would be pretty cool if they expand about this upon in a sequel, if it is actually true, of course, and if they were actually making a third one. I know I'll keep bringing this up. Third movie, third movie, third movie. In some ways, I kind of hope they don't do it because the whole third part curse. The third part curse is usually, when movies start off strong but then fall apart at the third part. I mean, of course, that doesn't ring true for every, third ove, but it's usually the case. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and take care. Till next time, see ya. Plenty of more I can speak of about this, folks, and I do mean a lot more, but this video is very long as it is, so I appreciate anybody for actually looking. Anyway, like I said, folks, later. See ya.